Members on my right, the member for Deakin. Manager of Opposition Business.
Thank you, Speaker. On indulgence, I'd like to note a few things about the decision, respecting the fact that the decision is not only made by you in terms of the advice that you have received from the Australian Electoral Commission, and ask that my comments be seen very much in that context. There are a number of by-elections which have occurred since you took the chair. In North Sydney, the writs were issued within 3 days. In Bennelong, 2 days. New England, the same day. Batman, 6 days. It will now be, for these by-elections, a delay of 14 days. And instead of the people going to vote 35, 36, 44 days later, they will go to vote 79 days later.
Well done, Malcolm.
I respect.
No, the manager of Opposition Business. The member for Isaacs will leave under 94A.
You still have the right to speak.
I'm going to hear the manager of Opposition Business on indulgence briefly. I'm happy to hear the Leader of the House on indulgence, and then I'll exercise a brief right of reply, but I'm not going to debate the matter.
Okay. And I also respect that the decision is now made. The letters that you have tabled, you said, were on the 17th of May and the 23rd of May. Had the decision been made within the time that the other by-election decisions were made, it would have been made before those letters were even received from the Australian Electoral Commission. The Australian Electoral Commission have claimed they want all candidates to know the new rules. I think anyone running for these by-elections, if they don't know by now what the High Court's decided, there is nothing that will help them. There is nothing that will help them.
Members on my right, the Attorney-General. I'm hearing the Manager of Opposition briefly on indulgence.
Thank you, Speaker. The AEC normally would not recommend a date, as you have said. On this occasion, they have recommended a date, and they have used the fact that they want this new regulation as the reason. Now, they appeared before the relevant inquiry months ago. They had their involvement with the relevant inquiry through appearing last year. The regulations and discussions with the opposition happened more than a week ago, and we have a situation now where that 79-day delay, which is not applied anywhere else, is on the basis that the Australian Electoral Commission, which, if the Prime Minister went down to Yarralumla and called an election today, they would be able to conduct it for 150 seats in 33 days' time. For 150 seats. Instead, they say it has to be delayed all this period, and it just happens to be on the day of the Labor Party National Conference. It's a what a coincidence moment. What a coincidence from the Australian Electoral Commission. The decision now made.
Manager of Opposition Business will resume his seat. The member for Solomon and the member for Bruce, amongst others, will cease interjecting. I'll call the Manager of Opposition Business. I'll call the Leader of the House. I say to the Manager of Opposition Business, the indulgence is brief, and as I said, even explaining these reasons as I've done, I've tried to do as a courtesy to the House. And as I pointed out on Monday, the past practice has simply been for speakers to report resignations and then report after the writs have been issued. And I'm sorry that elected members, some elected members I should say, are either unaware of that or don't appreciate it. Now, the Manager of Opposition on a point of order.
The Leader of the House, Mr Speaker. He's the
Sorry, the Leader of the House.
Mr Speaker, the point of order I wish to make is that an indulgence granted by you is also a courtesy. It's not an opportunity to have a debate, and it certainly is not an opportunity to reflect on the chair, which the Manager of Opposition Business is now perilously close to doing so. You granted him an indulgence which was generous, and he is taking advantage of it to debate the matter, which by courtesy he didn't even need to tell the House of Representatives, but you chose to do so. And he should stop reflecting on the chair.
The Manager of Opposition Business on indulgence, and he will wrap up his remarks. And
I raise one final point, Mr Speaker. Because of the way the Australian Electoral Commission have written to you and the arguments they have put, and because of the initial delay waiting for their letters, it means that parliamentary representation in communities around Australia that could have a representative on the 16th of June, had the writs been issued immediately, instead will not be represented in this place. And what was allowed to happen in the other by-elections, including members on that side, now means that there will be a delay in parliamentary representation which could have been avoided and would not occur in the circumstances of a general election.
Members will cease interjecting.